Well, we're a three-partner practice. We've been going now for around about 13 years, and we've identified over the last few years that there were a number of clients who just wanted compliance-based services. And we're members of Academy for Growth, which is an organisation which helps us to grow our practice. And part of their suggestion is that from time to time we look at our client base and identify those clients who only really want compliance-based services, who perhaps aren't ambitious about growing their business. So we then identified those clients that we felt fitted into that category, and that gave us a tranche of fees at around about £20,000 initially, but by the time the deal went through it came up to around about £28,000. I'd done a little bit of research on the internet initially, and I read Draper Hinks' website, and that sounded to be just the kind of thing that we were looking for. I'd also read an article that Nicola Draper wrote in the Practice Transformation newsletter, which is something that Academy for Growth produce on a monthly basis. And one of the things that came out of that was that although you hear sometimes that it's easy to sell a block of fees, you think, well, would that work for us? It doesn't sound as if it's an easy thing to do. And I thought, well, I'll talk to Nicola and just see whether she can help us with that. Yes, we did have concerns because as a practice that's grown from nothing to where we are today, some of the clients that we were trying to sell onto another practice, we'd acted for a long time. So we were a little bit concerned about how that would go down with the clients. But from the start, Nicola reassured us that this was actually quite normal, that clients needed to be looked after, and as long as the handover process was handled in the correct way, then there should be no problem at all looking after the clients going forward. Yes, we did, because where we are located is a relatively small town, and we were quite concerned that word didn't go around the town that the Chartwell Practice are closing down or they don't care about small businesses anymore. That's definitely not the case. And with Nicola's help, it was very important that we found the right buyer for our clients. And it came down to the firm that she recommended in the end. We knew had gone through this process before. We met with them on more than one occasion to make sure that we were comfortable that they could look after our clients. Because it's not quite the same as selling a whole practice where you're only selling a small amount of fees. It can still be done, but it's got to be handled correctly so that the clients are happy. We're happy as a practice because we've managed to move them on. We found a good home for them, and the new practice that's taken over looking after those clients is going to do a good job for them. So that was a crucial part of the process to us, and that's worked really well. Yes, following the initial phone call with Nicola, they sent through an email with an attached spreadsheet where we had to complete sort of very, very brief general details as to the size of fees that we were looking for, and just a general summary of the clients in terms of what they did for their business, what the size of the fee was, just very general information at that point. Nicola then sent out all of those details to practices that she'd identified as potential purchasers, and in our area I think there were around about 30 people that the letter went out to, which we were actually quite surprised about, because we didn't really feel that there would be that number of practices within our locality that would be willing to buy a small block of fees. So following that, Nicola then kept us informed all the way through the process as to how things were going, and the target for this was to get a meeting day where whoever was interested in buying the fees came along to meet with us, and we had the offer of whether or not Nicola was also present at that meeting. From day one, really, it was our intention to have Nicola at the meeting, because not having done this before, I thought, well, this could be quite a complicated process. In the end, with Nicola's help, it turned out to be a very, very straightforward process, and the clients that we have sold on have all been very happy with how the deal was handled. So following the letters that went out, Nicola kept us informed as to what was happening, and ultimately there were 2 people who were seriously interested in going ahead. Well, I was, never having done this before, I was sort of quite nervous about it, and Nicola had brought along two practices who actually came to visit us at our premises. I had a chat with Nicola initially, and she asked me various questions just to make sure that I said the right things when I got into the meeting. And she was also on hand to deal with any questions that the prospective purchasers had on the day as well. So it was really a conversation between myself and the prospective purchaser, but Nicola was sat there in the meeting just to facilitate the meeting, really, and to deal with any issues that cropped up, and just to prompt me for any questions that I needed to ask the other party, and likewise just to deal with any queries that they might have had as well. Well, as a result of the meeting with Nicola, we ended up with both parties making offers to us. So we received 2 offers, both for exactly the same amount of money. And it put us in quite a difficult position, actually, as to which one to choose. So Nicola, all through this process, had kept us informed. She'd spoken to the 2 parties following the meeting, just to make sure that everything was going along smoothly, and that there were no issues. Yes, I was surprised, actually, in the end. As I said, we had 2 practices who came along. One was quite local to us, quite a small concern, and the other one was a much larger practice with a number of offices throughout the country. And as I said, it was a very difficult decision as to which one to choose. In the end, we went for the practice who'd gone through this process before, because we felt that they would handle the changeover from ourselves to them much easier perhaps than the smaller one would. But throughout the process, Nicola was there to make sure that the deal happened, really, within actually an excellent result for all parties concerned. In terms of the time frame, we sat in the meeting and Nicola said that if everything went to plan, the completion date would be sort of 2 or 3 weeks hence, and the money would be in the bank within a month. And I thought, yes, okay, I hope it is, but I'll be very surprised if it is. And lo and behold, within 3 weeks of the meeting date, everything had been completed and the money had been transferred. Yes, I would definitely recommend Draper Hinks. Having been in business for a long time, I was a little bit sceptical about whether or not it would be possible to sell a relatively small amount of fees. I've been on several courses, and a lot of people have said that in order to grow your practice, you need to monitor your client base and you need to move on those clients who don't really want the services that you're offering. And it's a difficult decision to make, because our primary concern was to make sure that our clients were looked after. So it was important to us that we found the right buyer. Nicola's involvement in that process was absolutely crucial. And I now know, having gone through the process over the last month or so, in real terms, how easy it actually is to sell a relatively small block of fees. We couldn't have done that without Nicola's help. And it's resulted in a nice lump sum of cash coming into our practice. Our clients who've now moved on to the people who've brought the fees are very, very happy. And that's all been because Nicola's advised us so well all through the process that everyone has come out of this with the right result.